Hi everyone and welcome to my kitchen. It's Michelle Tam of Nom Nom Paleo and it's Wednesday at 5 o'clock Pacific, so I come on every week to show you how to cook something in my kitchen. And that heavy breathing you hear is my older son who's going to help read questions that I can't see because I'm going to be demoing something in my Instant Pot. And so just so you guys know how this works, I cook and I show you a recipe. This recipe is one that's on our blog, Nom Nom Paleo, and it's also in our iPhone and iPad app. It is the Instant Pot ground beef chili, and it's super simple, super tasty. You can make it with stuff that you can probably scrounge from your kitchen or your refrigerator in your pantry. And it's inexpensive, it's Whole30 friendly, and it won't heat up your kitchen if it's super hot where you are watching us from. And then my son, Owen, is going to be reading questions and comments that you guys say or type. And then behind the scenes, Lauren Wade is going to be typing answers to all of your questions. So I encourage you guys to ask questions and say hello because 3 people who are watching this live, if you just write some sort of comment, will win one of these. And this is one of the Instant Pot IP Duo Plus 60. So there were 2 new Instant Pot models that were just introduced, I think like 2 months ago. So this is one of them. It's an upgrade on the IP Duo 60, which is the one that I used to recommend to everybody. And so the IP Duo 60 was the 7-in-1, and this is the 9-in-1. And then this one right here is the Ultra. So this is like a 10-in-1, super fancy one, and I'll show that one too, but this is the one that is going to be given away to 3 lucky viewers. So there is a slight kind of geographical stipulation. You do have to be in the continental US or Canada, but if Lauren randomly picks someone who's not in those areas, I will personally send you a really, really cool Nom Nom Paleo swag pack and a little handwritten note. So I'm just going to start. So this, people have asked, how is this different from, and again, I'm not sponsored by Instant Pot. They are sponsoring the giveaway because they are sending it from their warehouses. But they don't pay me to say any of this stuff. I love it, and I've been buying it for all my friends. I've been recommending it on my blog. But it's just because I think it's a really great time-saving tool. Yeah, oh, and you're breathing so loud. But I'm glad you're alive.
It's proof.
Okay.
Proof.
And so people have asked, how is this different from the 7-in-1? And should I pay the extra $20? Because I think the 7-in-1 is like $99 on Amazon, and then this 9-in-1 plus 60 is like $119, and then this one is $149. So I definitely think that if you're going to get a new Instant Pot, you should get this one or this one. Because it does have improvements over the 7-in-1. And the main improvements, I think there's like some extra little cooking features, like there's a cake one and an egg one, which I don't use. Like I basically use Sautéing and just the pressure cook function. I never use this as a slow cooker because this is, in my opinion, you use an Instant Pot as a pressure cooker. But what I do like is that like on the inside of this metal insert, they now have a line that tells you what the pressure cooking max is. And in the old 7-in-1, it just used to have a line that said max, which was not the correct line if you were pressure cooking. It's the correct line if you were just slow cooking and not cooking under pressure. But every time you pressure cook, it should be no higher than the 2/3 or half mark if you're going to be cooking beans or rice. Yes?
So, when you're cooking this, would you rather have the 6-quart or the 8-quart?
Oh, that's a good question too. So I have an 8-quart that I bought myself. I like the 6-quart a lot better. So people say, oh, I have a big family, or I like to have leftovers. So a 6-quart can make quite a bit of food. So we have a family of 4, and when I make dishes, there's normally enough for dinner plus leftovers. The 8-quart is a bigger capacity, but it takes longer to reach pressure, and then after it's cooked, it takes a long time for the pressure to release. So I think it's great if you're making stews and braises and broth all the time and you need a bigger capacity. But sometimes when you want to do quick release on stuff, I think it's faster on the 6-quart. And I'd almost rather have 2 6-quarts than an 8-quart, but that's my own opinion. I'd rather have, I do have 2 6-quarts and an 8-quart, and I almost always grab my 6-quart. So I'm gonna just start cooking. This again is the Instant Pot ground beef chili that is new on my blog and on my app. And then after this cooking demo is done, I put up all the links to all the recipes and any questions that you guys have in the description at the top.
Happy birthday, Stephanie.
Oh, Stephanie has a birthday. Happy birthday. Maybe you'll win an Instant Pot for your birthday. So what I do is I just press the saute button, and that heats up this metal insert. So it's just like you're going to the stove and you crank it on and you put a pot on. That's basically the same thing as pressing the saute function. And so it does take a little bit, so it beeps to tell you it's on. And it'll actually tell you when it's hot. Sometimes I don't wait until it says hot, I'll just throw it in because I'm impatient. But it does tell you when it's hot and you can continue. And so once it's hot, I'm going to put in, I have 1 large yellow onion. You could have a white onion, whatever onion you have, that I diced up. And then I have 1 red bell pepper that I also diced up. And then I have some garlic cloves that I'll add. But this I have to saute first as soon as this heats up. And I'm going to go grab some avocado oil. You can use any oil you want. I normally use, for my high temperature cooking, I normally use avocado oil or I use ghee. And for this, I'm going to use a little avocado oil. And I'm going to wait till this heats up. Because one of the things I learned recently is it's really important to have your pan heat up before you add the oil. So that's one thing that I've been trying to do myself. Any questions?
The last one that I saw was, can you explain about your transition from AIP to paleo?
I'm not AIP. My transition, or how you transition from AIP
I think
to
that's what,
paleo?
oh, here's another one. Is it okay to manually release and not to wait for it to depressurize on its own?
It depends on the recipe. So the question was like, when do you use manual release and when do you do natural release? So basically, I think the reason why you would use manual release is if you don't want the contents to overcook. But I normally choose to only cook things in the Instant Pot that you can't overcook, like braises and stews. But things like hard-boiled eggs, you want to use the manual release. Because if you let the pressure release naturally, it could take like 20 minutes and your eggs will get like a gray ring and they'll be overcooked. Yes?
So, how long do you wait for the recipe to heat up?
The insert to heat up? I mean, you wait until it's hot. And so now I can do, like when I put my hand like right here, I can actually feel that it's hot. And it still says on, so it says it's heating up. And so this indicator right here will actually say hot when it's like truly hot. But I think this is good. I'm gonna just add it because you guys don't have all the time in the world. So I'm gonna put like, a tablespoon. And you don't really need to measure it. You just need to put enough so that it coats the bottom. And the thing about the Instant Pot though is it's kind of, I've noticed that a lot of times it seems like it's what is it, concave or convex? Which one is it? You guys learned this math. It's the one that's
concave is in, convex is out.
So it's a little bit convex. See, you don't need math when you're older. You can ask your children for the answer. So because it's like this, it kind of pools on the edge. So I always feel like I have to pull out my insert and swirl the hot oil, and I can totally see it's hot. So I'm going to add the onion, and you can hear that it's ready because as soon as I add this in, it starts sizzling. Yes.
So, better control with a dial on the front of the Instant Pot or with buttons? And if so, does the dial last longer?
I've only been using this one for, a few weeks. I think it looks really, I think it's more of a design thing. I think the design aspect of it is really nice. Oh, and I sprinkled a little salt because I think it makes it soften faster, and I like to salt every layer. I'm just going to let this soften. But, I think this dial, so on the new Ultra, you have to use the dial to kind of control everything. You use the dial to pick whatever thing you're going to use, and I only basically use pressure cooker saute. And then you also have to press it to select I think it's a little less intuitive than just pressing buttons, but it totally depends on, what you like to do. I think this is, I just think this is pretty cool, and it also is neat because they have this little indicator on the Ultra, which is not on this one, where it tells you, and this is good for newbies to, pressure cooking, that it's heating up and then it reaches high pressure, because I think a lot of people don't realize that even though a recipe might say cook under high pressure for 5 minutes, that you still need to wait like the 10 minutes for it to reach high pressure before it starts the countdown for the 5 minutes. And then it tells you that it's done cooking, and it'll tell you that it's in the keep warm mode, which this is, because I actually have a finished chili in here that I'm going to pull out as soon as I finish, all this part right here. Okay?
So when using this Instant Pot, is it okay if you just like put everything inside of the Instant Pot and then just start cooking?
Oh, you mean like to just dump everything in? It all depends on the recipe. Some of my recipes, it is where you dump it in and you don't have to saute it. This one, I think, if you really wanted to, you probably could dump it in and it would still taste okay. But I think by like sauteing and softening the aromatics and heating up the spices, it actually makes it taste better. But if you're really lazy, I think like all the components in here are really tasty, and there's a lot of umami in a lot of these ingredients. So I bet it would still taste good. So now, it's softened. I'm gonna add a few garlic cloves. And I think in my recipe I said 4, but you can kind of do whatever you want. I'm gonna just, yes?
So can you please tell us about like the new cookbook and the release date and stuff like that?
My hands are dirty. Owen and Ollie, you guys can come back here. So our new cookbook comes out on August 1st, but we got a super early edition yesterday from our publisher. So it's like the first copy that has actually arrived in the United States because it's printed overseas. But it is a cookbook that is basically a no excuses cookbook. So whether you're ready or not, you should be able to cook. Can you make it higher so people can see? And everything, all the recipes, instead of being categorized by like breakfast, lunch, or dinner, or by like poultry or meat, it's categorized and organized by your state of readiness. So if you're ready and you have time to cook, it's in the green section. If you're kind of ready because you have some stuff that you've made before, it's the orange section, because it teaches you all these cool leftover makeovers. And the red section is when you're not ready at all. And they're all meals that take 45 minutes or less, and you don't need anything pre-prepared. But it's filled with cartoons and pictures, and it literally has like a hero shot, and then every single step has instructions and a picture. And so it is, oh, hello.
Can I get it?
No, all our friends are here. I don't know who's ringing on our doorbell.
Okay.
But it's got cartoons, and it's just, we just love it. So you can pre-order it now. It's available for pre-order. Everybody who pre-orders it is actually eligible to download this free ebook that we're working on called One and Done, which are all one pot, one pan dishes. And it's our thank you gift to you guys for pre-ordering and for supporting us. And as soon as it's done, I will announce how you guys can download the free ebook. I will tell everyone on Facebook, on all of my social media accounts, and to people who subscribe to my email newsletter. So don't worry, nobody has gotten that yet. You're not behind. So I added, a bunch of minced garlic. And then I'm going to put in 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And I do this because tomato paste adds a really, really nice depth of flavor, and it's really high in umami. And umami, for those of you who are new, because I talk about umami all the time. And in fact, in our cookbook, there's an umami cartoon. Umami is the 5th taste, and it just means, so besides sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and sweet, I don't know, I probably repeated one. Umami is like kind of an indescribable savoriness. And once you harness the power of umami and add ingredients that are naturally high in umami, your food will just taste better. So I added the 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. And then now I'm gonna put in 2 pounds of ground beef. I like the 85% stuff. I don't go any leaner because I think the fat gives it flavor. So I'm just gonna break it up in here.
So,
Yes?
when you where do you pre-order the book? And it say if you pre-order it on Amazon, will you still get one?
You can pre-order it wherever books are sold. You can pre-order it on Amazon. You can pre-order it at your favorite independent bookstore. If you're overseas, you can pre-order it wherever you buy your books. If you go to Nom Nom Paleo / Ready or Not Cookbook, we have a whole description of our book, plus a whole bunch of places that you can buy it. Like if you're overseas, I think Book Depository is a really great place to buy it because that website will ship free anywhere in the world, which is pretty cool. And you can buy the Kindle version. Just keep a copy of your receipt because we'll just need you to put in, we need proof of your purchase. So we'll have a form where you put in where you bought it from and then your receipt number. And then we'll give you the download link for our One and Done ebook, which is actually made in the same format as our book. So it's all step by step for every single recipe, and you can see what the whole layout is. So I'm going to add a teaspoon of salt to this.
So, is it okay if you use frozen meat, or does it have to be defrosted?
You know what? I would always defrost, just because it's hard to. I would just defrost it because it's hard to do this. You're gonna have a giant block. You're gonna have a giant brick, and it won't get seasoned properly. Just defrost it.
So, can you eat beans on the paleo diet?
Technically, when people first started paleo, beans were a no-go. But I think since then, a lot of people, if they tolerate beans and they're cooked properly and they've been soaked, and you tolerate it, I don't think it's such a bad thing. I think there's a lot of fiber in it that's really beneficial for your gut bacteria. So I think if you tolerate beans, you can incorporate it into your diet. But everybody's different. It's not technically part of a Whole30, so if you're doing a Whole30, you cut them out, and then you can reintroduce them to see how you feel. But Henry, my husband, hates beans, so he chooses not to eat them. I like beans a lot, and so I do eat them occasionally. So this recipe does not have any beans in it. But if you tolerate beans, I say go for it. Alright, so all I'm doing now is I'm just kind of stirring this around because I just want to cook this and break up the beef. And then once it's mostly cooked, you don't have to make sure it's fully cooked. I think you just want to make sure everything's distributed and everything's broken up. And if you have a frozen brick of beef, it's really hard to break it up. So now I'm going to add the spices. So I have 3 tablespoons of chili powder. So chili powder, I think a lot of people are confused between chili powder and just having ancho chili powder. So chili powder with an I, C-H-I-L-I, is normally a combination of a bunch of spices. And sometimes it has salt in it. So I picked the one that doesn't have salt because then I can control how much salt is in there. And this particular brand I bought is by Spicely because some of the chili powders that you can buy at the store have all sorts of weird stuff in it that aren't Whole30 compliant, and Spicely has one that is totally compliant. And there's no rice powder in there that sometimes is added to kind of keep it flowable. And then I also have a tablespoon of cumin, a tablespoon of dried oregano, and then in my recipe I say that you can have a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne pepper, but that's totally optional. And that also depends on how spicy your chili powder is and how spicy your family likes its chili. So this chili powder from Spicely is actually not spicy. It has lots of flavor, but it doesn't have hot peppers in it. So I'm gonna add actually just 1/8 of a teaspoon of cayenne pepper. So I just plop that all in.
So will this chili be with beans?
Huh?
Will this chili be with beans or no beans?
This one is a no bean one, but if you want to add beans, you are totally free to do so. This is a Whole30 compliant chili recipe, so there's no beans in here. And so I'm just mixing it all around to stir all of the spices around and to help kind of cook the spices. And you can tell because it smells really good. I'm going to distribute everything.
Could you elaborate on the smell?
It smells like chili. I don't know. What do you think it smells like, Owen?
Smells. I don't really know what chili is like. I've smelled chili before, but
Okay, whatever.
But I
It
don't
smells
even know.
good. It smells like chili.
It smells like food.
So now you get a can of, actually at this point I'm gonna just cancel because you don't have to keep on frying things. So I have a can of fire roasted diced tomatoes, and I think, you know, I like Muir Glen. That's a great brand. I think Thrive Market now has its own in-house brand in non-BPA cans. And I like it because fire roasted tomatoes add kind of a smoky flavor. And since this is almost kind of like a cheater chili because we're making it so quickly, I kind of like to add things that help with flavoring. So it's, and I drain it because I don't want all that extra liquid.
So,
And I plop it in.
So how many people will this recipe eventually feed?
Oh, at least 6. I think in my recipe on the blog, I say it feeds 6 people. But you know, it's 2 pounds of meat. I take it back. Like if you're someone that eats like a pound of meat at a sitting, then maybe it serves 2 people. But for my family, because we're going to be serving this with some like roasted broccoli and other vegetables, it easily feeds 6 people. So then now I'm going to add. So it does. So the Instant Pot and all pressure cookers need a little bit of liquid in there just so that the liquid can come up to pressure. And you don't want stuff to burn on the bottom. But I try to make that as minimal as possible. So in some recipes, I don't actually even have you adding any liquid because the ingredients themselves release enough liquid to have it come up to pressure. But in this one, I actually do add half a cup of broth because I've drained the tomatoes, because I tried it without draining the tomatoes and I think it's too tomatoey. And I think this is a good balance because by adding a half cup of broth, it adds enough liquid in, but it's not super tomatoey. Does that make sense? And so I'm going to put that in.
So you don't drain the beef?
No, I don't drain the beef.
Okay.
I'm not afraid of the fat in beef. And that adds to, that adds to savoriness. So now I'm going to add, but if you want to, you can, but I don't.
Okay.
And in fact, sometimes what I do is, especially ground beef that's been frozen that you're thawing to use, sometimes it can be really wet. So what I do is I kind of drain it on some paper towels and then I plop it in here. And so then, this is kind of a secret ingredient where people are like, what? This is not a traditional chili. I add fish sauce in here, and it doesn't make it fishy, I promise. It adds umami, which is that savoriness that I was telling you about. And I put about 2 teaspoons, and it just makes it taste really tasty. Trust me, it really does. Because in some recipes, people add Worcestershire sauce. I don't even know if I pronounced that
How
right.
do you pronounce it? Like Worcestershire.
Worcestershire. And Worcestershire, the reason why Worcestershire tastes so good is because it has anchovies in it. And that is what fish sauce is made out of. It's made out of wild anchovies. And so the reason why Worcestershire tastes so good is because it adds umami, just like fish sauce.
So, if you say like you can't eat beef or like red meat.
Turkey! Turkey's good. Is that the question?
Basically, yes.
Yeah. So that was actually from my friend Maria. My friend Maria is a big fan of ground turkey. And so, yes, if you would like to use ground turkey, you can totally use ground turkey in it. I would use the dark meat ground turkey, not the 99.9% lean white meat turkey, because I think it'll not taste as good. But yes, you can, totally. So I'm going to put the lid on. And so you're going to lock it. And that little song tells you, oh, you locked it properly. And then right here, this little knob on top. And I'll show you on the Ultra. The knob is different on the Ultra, but on the Duos, you do need to make sure this little pointy thing right here is pointed towards sealing because you want it to be sealed. And also, I'm going to just open it. The other thing that you need to make sure of is this silicone gasket that's in the lid is in very snugly, because this is what will help seal the Instant Pot and let things come up to pressure. So sometimes people have said, you know, my Instant Pot isn't sealing properly, and it could be that, you know, they're putting on their lid, but the gasket is just a little bit off. And if it's off, it will never reach high pressure because it can never seal properly. So I'm gonna just tuck that all in and lock it. Oh, and that song is so beautiful. And then I just turn this little knob right here so that it's sealing. And then on this new IP Duo Plus 60, on the older model, you have to press like the manual button to do it. But you can press pressure cook. And I'm gonna press the plus button until it gets to 15. So you wanna cook it for 15 minutes under high pressure. And then you just wait. And so you can, for this one, if you're really hungry and you're desperate to eat right away, you can do the quick release if you'd like, but you can also throw this together in the morning. It can cook while you're away, and then it'll just keep warm until you come home, and then you have a meal ready and waiting for you. I don't think it really affects the flavor either way. So I have one that is already done.
So speaking of the seal that you were just talking about, how often should you replace it?
So for sure you need to replace it anytime you see that it's compromised. And so if you see a little nick in it, or it doesn't seem stretchy, or it's like dry and brittle, you should definitely change it. But I think they last about, I don't know, 1 or 2 years, depending on how much you use your Instant Pot. And people always ask like, oh my gosh, my ring totally stinks. And really, there's no way to get the smell out. I've tried everything, and there are lots and lots of different, like if you just Google how to get the smell out of the silicone gasket, there's lots of different suggestions. Like people say, you know, soak it in a little bit of vinegar, put it out in the sun. Like none of those really work. Like I put mine in the dishwasher and it doesn't help. The only thing that I think, I'm gonna just move this out of the way. The only thing that has worked for me, cancel this and move this one over, is, and this one is the Ultra, is when I store the lid, and I'll show you, okay, so when I store my Instant Pot after it's been cleaned, I put the lid upside down so that the gasket is out, exposed to the air, and it seems like it doesn't smell as much, but I don't know if that is truly working. So this is the Ultra. I think for a while it was only available at Sur La Table, but now it's available on Amazon, but I think there's a 3 to 5 month wait. So if you must get it, you should get it on Sur La Table. And up until May 21st, which was just a few days ago, they had a 20% off coupon that I told everybody who subscribes to my newsletter and on, I think, everything, that there was a sale. In fact, on my site, I have a new page called like nomnompaleo.com/instantpotdeals, where I try to keep people up to date about whenever they have a sale, because people are always asking me, and so I decided to just put that up there. Yes?
So can you find fish sauce in basically any grocery store, or are there only specific places you can get it?
So I think for a long time, you could only buy fish sauce at Asian supermarkets, and you can still buy them there, and that's probably where they're the cheapest. In fact, Red Boat is the cheapest, I think, at an Asian supermarket. But you can also buy Red Boat at Whole Foods. You can buy it. It used to be at Trader Joe's, but I've heard people say it's not always at Trader Joe's anymore. But you can definitely buy it online. You can also buy it, like, I think you can buy it at Thrive Market. You can buy it on Amazon. So it's pretty readily available these days. So the other difference besides this dial on the Ultra is that it also allows you to do sous vide in here, which I haven't tried because I have my own immersion circulator. The only thing with sous vide in this Instant Pot is I think there is like a 5-degree variability. So it's not super duper accurate, but it all depends what you're cooking, and maybe it doesn't matter that it's not super accurate. And then also back here, instead of turning the vent to manually release it, there's a button right here that you press. But this has already naturally released on its own, so you don't have to do that. So I can actually take this out. And so the top now looks like this. And it's a separate thing. The thing that I have noticed about this when I do the manual release on this newer Ultra is you have to, even though it's a different spot than this vent, like you have to hold it down until it's all the way done. Whereas this one, even though it's the same thing that's venting that you have to touch, like you can walk away and it'll vent by itself. So I'm gonna open this. I'm gonna put this. Oh, so people have asked the difference between a IP Duo and a Luxe Instant Pot. And one of the features that I do like is that the lid fits inside the handle, which is handy, but I'm gonna just take that down.
Oh, so here's, I have two questions.
Yes.
So if you, let's say like you have like a smelly gasket.
Yes.
If you put that gasket like in something that's not very smelly, will it affect the food?
I don't think so. There should be no contact, and I don't think there's any transfer ever. So, but okay, I take it back. So there may be an issue if you're making, say, like a cheesecake or something, and you have a gasket that smells like chili. Maybe that could transfer, but I haven't tried that because I don't make cheesecake. Some people buy multiple gaskets, and they reserve some dishes for like smelly, they reserve it for smelly dishes, and they have one that's for non-smelly dishes. So you could do that. I think these gaskets are only maybe $5 or $6, and so it's good to have a backup anyway.
So how long have you been paleo, and what is sous vide?
Okay, so I've been paleo since 2010, and sous vide is a way of cooking where basically you cook food in a temperature-controlled water bath. And the food is vacuum sealed, like in a baggie, or it can be in a mason jar or whatever. But basically, you're gonna perfectly cook whatever it is that you're putting in that water bath. So let's say you want a perfect medium rare steak, then you would set your water bath. And they have these immersion circulators that will bring up the temperature to the correct temperature that you set, and it will keep it at that temperature, and it'll circulate the water. And so if you want a perfect medium rare steak, you would set the water temperature to 125, and then you dunk in your steak that's been vacuum sealed and leave it in there until, for like 2 hours or so or less. And then when it's done, you can sear it off, and then when you look at your steak, it's perfectly cooked from end to end. And so I used to do sous vide quite a bit on my blog, because back when I was working as a night shift pharmacist, I would always do a bunch of things that would help me get food on the table when I woke up in the morning or at night. And so sous vide was something that I did a lot. So if you just look in my archives on my blog, you can learn all about it. I don't use it as much anymore because I don't work nights anymore, but I do think it's a great cooking method. So this is the chili, and I'll take it out, and I want to taste it. So every time something's done, you should always taste to see if it's how you like it.
So is that a 6 or an 8 quart?
6. Both of these are 6 quarts. I think these two new models don't come in the 8 quart yet. That's really good. I don't think it needs more salt, but if it did need more salt, you can add more salt. And then you can add a little bit of apple cider vinegar if you so choose. I'm gonna just add a little bit because I like it, and it doesn't make it super sour. It just adds, it kind of balances the flavor. And yes?
Oh, sorry.
No. It's just like when people add like beer to chili. The beer is normally to add some acid, and so I kind of like this apple cider vinegar because it does the same thing. So this is basically done. And this is actually something that is really, really, it keeps really well. And I make a bunch of it, I freeze it, and then you can use it in anything. Like you can eat it just like chili. You can get some grass-fed hot dogs and have some chili dogs. You can hollow out some zucchinis and spoon the chili inside and broil it, and then it's like stuffed chili zucchini boats. I mean, it's like you can make omelets. I mean, it is like a really great and tasty emergency protein. And so definitely, like if you saw, I mean, you guys are watching me now. I mean, it's a really easy thing to make. And in terms of like stuff that you can put on it, I think Owen's favorite, you just like white onion and cilantro, right?
Yeah.
And then you can put lime wedges. If you like it more tangy, you can put avocado. But while I'm kind of prepping this, I'm gonna have, oh, and this is how I keep my cilantro. I think I've showed you guys this before. But basically, I stick the stems in some water and I cover it loosely with a plastic bag and I put it in the fridge, and it will last like this for like 2 weeks. Oh, but while I'm like prepping stuff, I'm gonna have Lauren pick the 3 winners of the Instant Pot IP Duo Plus 60. So I'm gonna just chop this. Except I have no knife. Where's my stuff? Okay. So any other questions?
I haven't seen any.
Okay, why don't you go look?
Oh yes, that would be smart.
Thank you.
So, is this like a good emergency protein?
Well, yes, it is. I think it's great. I love chili. The other reason why I love it from an Instant Pot is like not only is it fast, but it doesn't heat up the house. And I only have one thing to clean, and this one insert I can throw in the dishwasher. So I think it's super handy, and you get a bunch of dinner. Any other questions? Any other comments?
That's a good tip for the cilantro. Okay, so if you have to hold your done, the manual release versus the duo, which one is your top pick?
Oh, if I had to pick between, I don't know. I like them both. I know I think that annoys Henry because he doesn't like me to have any clutter or extra appliances. But if they were the same price, I would get the Ultra. But because they are not the same price, I think the IP Duo Plus 60 is a better deal because it's 120, and I think it's good. So I want to just. Oh, I need a smaller bowl for this. Do we have a winner yet?
Nope.
Nope. That's okay. Any other questions?
Here. Do you think it makes a big difference to use a Spanish onion as opposed to a regular onion?
So in terms of the chili, the onion that's cooked inside there, it can be any onion. Like I think yellow onion, red onion, Spanish onion, whatever. But I think in terms of toppings, it really should be a white onion or a sweet Vidalia onion because you're eating it raw and you don't want like a really sharp, spicy onion as a topping.
So let's say like you're on a budget, and if you were, would you rather get the IP Duo 60 or Duo Plus or the
60?
Ultra, or the 60 or the Ultra?
Oh, if you're on a budget, I think this one's really good. I think the Plus 60, I mean, if you're used to the Instant Pot, the 7-in-1 is still really good. But now the price difference isn't that big. So the older model, the IP Duo 67-in-1 is like $99. And then this one is $119. And so I think there are better features with that. Of course, sometimes things go on sale. And I think this IP Duo Plus 60 went on sale for $99 or something, and so I told everyone about it when I found out the sale. But you know, it seems like Instant Pots do go on sale. Like I'm sure when Prime Day comes along, I suspect there's going to be a sale, but I don't know because I don't have. I mean, I don't work for the company, so I don't know. But I did predict last time that there would be a sale right before Mother's Day, and there was. So. I think it's a good bet that there will probably be a sale. Prime Day, Black Friday, and Cyber Monday. I don't know. I think no matter what, it's still a good price.
So let's say you're new to using like an electric pressure cooker.
Uh-huh.
Would you rather have this one
Or
this one?
I think if you're totally new, I think this one is easier. Like the Ultra looks sleeker, and it is, and it's like, oh, it's so cool, and it's got that little thing that tells you like if it's cooked. I don't know, actually. Now that I think about it, that little, I don't know. I think it's easier to just press a button because you can press a button that says. I think it depends how easily you can learn to use things, right? So I think even if you're totally new to electric pressure cookers, you can learn how to use an Ultra because you know how to turn a knob. And
I mean, you could say the same thing for that. Like you could say
Yeah.
you know how to press buttons and turn things.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
So I'm just gonna. So people have asked how So on my blog, and even on this recipe post, people are like,
oh wait, we have winners.
Oh,
okay.
yay!
So okay, Kiro, Wilhite Morgan, Guy Jones, and Lee Taylor.
Awesome! Congratulations, you guys. So you guys need to for sure send me a direct message. Just send it to my page. I think Lauren has already sent you guys a direct message to your inbox, so you can respond to him, or you can just write directly to my my little Nom Nom Paleo inbox, and you have to give me your shipping address and a phone number, I think, because it's delivered through FedEx, so it's for tracking. But congratulations, you guys will love it. It's like amazing, and even if you already have one, you can give it away to like someone you love, because that's what I do, because I love it. So I'm also going to show you guys how I cut my avocado, because people are always like, how do you get your avocado to look like that? And one of the secrets I have is that I peel the skin. Of course, I can't even cut this. Oh, and apparently there's this new epidemic in emergency rooms called avocado hand. Because all these people are eating avocados, and because they oh look, it's not all black inside, nice. And because all of these cooking videos and chefs tell people to like pop their knife into the seed and twist it and take it out, like people have been cutting their hands. So I never do that. In fact, I always just use my finger, and you can just like pop out the seed just like that. And of course it makes it maybe like not as pretty, but then I use that side for the pictures. But you literally can just pop it out. So don't use a knife. Like, I think that's dumb. Every time I used to see that, I'd be like, why would you do that? I mean, it looks fancy, and I'm sure you can take out the seed, but you can also cut your hand, and that's what everybody's doing.
I mean, I'm sure you could take out like the avocado like seed like with many other techniques and ways.
So this is what I do for my pictures, is I just peel off. Instead of using a spoon to scoop it out, I'm trying to carefully peel it off. And as long as it's not super duper ripe, that's another secret. You don't use like super ripe avocados for food pictures because it's harder to peel the skin off.
So, also, why? This is just a question for me. Like, why sometimes like are avocados like black inside? Is that because like mold or?
I don't know that it's mold per se, but they're bad. They're like, it's already rotting, which I don't know if it's because of mold or some other thing, but it's already breaking down. So like when you peel off the top, it's nice and smooth. And then if you have a nice sharp knife, you just make thin slices, and then you can just fan it. So I will put one together, and then I will call it a day. And then you can ask questions while I'm scooping this. And people always ask, like, what do you serve it with? And so you can, I don't know that I would, oh, this is so big. I'm going to do a smaller.
I'll give you a thing. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Oh, wait.
And so so this is like all meat. So I wouldn't just eat this. Like, I do think, like, people have this misconception that paleo is all about just eating meat, and bacon. And I don't think that's correct. I think you need to eat a lot of vegetables and eat some meat. So that's why I say this serves at least 6 people, because you should be serving this with some sort of vegetable. You can have a big salad with it. You can have roasted broccoli, but serve some vegetables with it. And, you know, I think Ollie, to get out of it, would say, there's tomatoes in there, but there's not enough vegetables in there. You cannot trick mommy. So this is what it looks like. It's nice and thick. It's not quite as thick as if you added a thickener. Like some recipes ask for masa or like cornmeal to thicken it, but I think it's actually thick enough. Like I don't care that it's not like super. Can you give me a paper towel? Is there a paper towel? I'm only doing that because I probably have to take a picture of this later, and I need to clean the rim.
Wow, fancy.
Fancy. All right. So then I'm gonna put some of the white onion and cilantro on here.
Oh, and like, let's say you're new to paleo.
Yes.
Can you eat cheese and like dairy products?
You know, there's a subset, or there's a type of paleo called primal. I don't know if it's really a type of paleo. There's a similar diet called primal, which is started by Mark Sisson, and basically it's paleo plus high quality dairy. So if you tolerate dairy, go for it. I mean, I personally don't really tolerate cow dairy very well, and so I just don't eat it. But I think it's really important for people to eat as expansively as possible, as healthfully as possible. So I don't think you should restrict what you eat just to restrict it, because I think there's a lot more to food than just trying to, be perfectly clean. Like I think there's a lot of enjoyment that comes from sharing a meal with your friends and loved ones. So you just need to know what your limits are. And so here is my beautiful bowl of chili.
Wow.
And that's it. That's what we're gonna have. I'm gonna roast some broccoli to go with this. But thank you for tuning in. It was super simple and super easy, and it's not hot in here. So you guys should try this at home. So thank you, and I will post all the links at the top. Pre-order our new book and pre-order our new calendar. And we love you guys. Bye guys.